Welcome to episode 2, season 3 of Model Airport Reviews, where today I will be reviewing 8 more of your model airports. Before we begin, I would like to announce that Eindhoven Officials National and Dusseldorf Airport will be going on to the grand finale. Anyway, let's get started. First airport I'll be reviewing in episode number 2 is Heathrow Airport, located in London, made out of paper. And although this airport is made out of paper, I still think he's done an incredible job building it. I mean, looking at this lineup of 747s, it shows that he is very skilled with paper and has done an incredible job crafting these paper aircraft. We can also see that he's added so many other models all throughout the airport. I really like the amount of detail on this airport and how big it is, showing that he put a lot of work into this and it looks really good. Now, although this airport is made out of paper, I still think there's some details that could be added to make it more realistic. Some of these include coloring on the terminals, which will make them more detailed and look more realistic. Another thing is maybe outlining your taxi lines with a black ink pen. Third is adding some more ground crew services from littlemodelairport.com, which are paper models and will make it look so good and fit with the paper theme. And finally, maybe adding some modeling grass in the blank sections, which will fill it up really easy. Overall, if you use these tips, your airport will look amazing and so much better. And to be honest, I still think you might have a small chance of making the grand finale because of this very detailed paper airport. Anyway, let's go straight to the second airport. Thank you for entering. The next airport I'll be reviewing is Papeete Tahiti, located in Tahiti. And this airport is once again an insanely realistic airport, and he wanted me to show what the real airport looks like compared to this one. Here's the real one, and here's this one. This is super realistic and is super detailed. We'll start in the back of the model airport, where it seems like he's added a second piece of wood, which is a very good way to add a great big section to your model airport and expansion. The general aviation section looks amazing. He has a lot of private jets, some Pipers, Cessnas, and even a helicopter, as we can see here. He's added a great parking lot with amazing detail, palm trees, the modeling grass looks perfect, and even the fence is super detailed. Right here we have another insanely detailed photo of the front of the main terminal, as we have a lot of 787s here from United to Air Tahiti and Air New Zealand. We get a great view of the amount of detail on the terminal, a great view of the very detailed parking lot. He has a ton amount of ground crew services. Palm trees and the modeling grass are perfect, and that makes the image super realistic. Here we get a view of 2 aircraft on a remote stand, which is super realistic. We also see like it could be the base for where all the tugs and ground crew services go. And I can even see a NetJets hangar, which is super realistic and looks like he's possibly made that out of paper. And here we have another great final photo of a Japan Airlines wide body, it seems, and an Air New Zealand either A320 or A321 on the runway. The ground markings are super realistic, and once again, the modeling grass and those bushes are to perfection. Anyway, we're going to move on to the third airport, but I can't wait to see what the creator of this airport has in store for us next, because this airport is super realistic. And let's go ahead and move on to the third airport in today's episode. Next airport I'll be reviewing is Greenwater International Airport, located in Suffolk County, New York. I hope I pronounced that county right. Although this airport is pretty small, it has a ton of detail that I would like to cover. In this first photo, I really like how we have this Freedom 1 Southwest aircraft on the aircraft stand on the runway, which has a great sense of detail. I also love the American retro livery, and the modeling grass looks perfect. Right here we have a great view of a couple American narrow-body aircraft at the gate with a ton of ground crew services, which seems to be from either trade wings or Clipper models. He's added a ton of detail like windows onto the paper terminal, which is a very cool and realistic touch. I also love the jet bridges that he's added, which is also very realistic. And right here we have a great view of a couple Delta aircraft, which makes sense in my opinion, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I also love the amount of detail on the lines with the concrete tiles, which makes it super duper realistic. And finally, a great shot of a North 787 at the gate with a ton of ground crew services. Anyway, the runway and taxi lines are super detailed and outlined, which is a very good and realistic touch. And overall, I think this airport has a great chance of making the grand finale. Anyway, thank you for entering your model airport, and let's move on to the fourth airport in today's episode. By the way, Delta, how's Delta Plushie doing? Fourth airport I'll be reviewing is Lviv Danylo Halytskyi International Airport, located in Lviv Oblast, Ukraine. Now, although I have reviewed this airport back in season 1, he said he's made a lot of changes, so I wanted to see how he's been doing and check it out. First thing I noticed is that he has a lot more models, and I can see 8 aircraft in just this one photo. The second thing is that it seems like the apron has a lot better texture and detail. We can also see this with this close-up shot too. The apron lines and taxi lines are perfectly straight, smooth, and clean, which makes the airport feel realistic. I also noticed that his jet bridges are a lot nicer and clean compared to those old bulky ones he had in season number 1. Seems that he's added some 3D printed ground crew services like these luggage bags and some cones. Although it does seem you are a little bit limited, so my one tip for you would probably be to add and give your airport some more GSC. Finally, the runway markings are super straight and clean, and the modeling grass makes this airport look super realistic and stands out. I'm also noticing that this white background might be used for a background in the future and like a city skyline, which will make the airport 10 times more realistic and super good. Now, I really hope if you add a terminal in the future, you can enter it for another season of model airport reviews, as I can't wait to see what this airport will look like in the future. Anyway, thank you for entering your model airport, and to be honest, I still think you have a great chance at making the grand finale just like season 1. Anyway, let's go to the next airport in episode number 2. Next airport I'll be reviewing is Eindhoven Regional Airport, located in the Netherlands. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, for this airport just taking 3 days, it is extremely realistic. First of all, the apron has great ground markings and clean details. He has many different aircraft, ground crew services, and a great detailed terminal made out of paper. This picture of this UPS MD-11 is super realistic. This picture is also really realistic with this Aeroflot Airbus aircraft, I can't tell which one, at the gate with a ton of ground crew services and a great terminal. And this photo has something special about it. This Delta and Transavia aircraft are 3D printed, apparently, he said, and he's customized them fully custom, and I think he did a great job customizing them, and they look really good. Because of that, my only tip for you is maybe adding some modeling grass in some places, which will make the airport stand out and look really good. Some bonus tips could be adding some lights like floodlights for the apron, and maybe adding a background, which will make it look super good. Anyway, I think you have a great airport and a good chance of making the grand finale, and it looks really good. Anyway, let's move on to the 6th airport in today's episode. This airport I'll be reviewing is Oasis International Airport, located in the Mediterranean, and in my opinion might be one of the best daring airports I've ever seen. The first thing I noticed is how he's added a lot of remote stands, which gives him more space to hold more aircraft at his airport at a time. Second, I really love this photo of this Eva Air Hello Kitty livery, and I believe a 777 landing right over a highway full of cars in front of this cargo section, which is super realistic. I also can notice that he's put a lot of detail in these jet blast deflectors, these runway light things, and these poppy lights, although you could probably move them to a different location so it's more visible for the pilots to see. We get a very cool look inside of the terminal where he's made some seats out of cardboard, which is a very cost-friendly way to make an interior for your terminal. So get a look at this Delta aircraft, which is very cool, realistic, and unexpected to see. We get a look at the cargo terminal, which has a ton of detail and is super realistic. I love how he's added a bunch of this nature on the roof, and all the numbers, ground crew services look pretty realistic. Looking back at this, my only tip for you is probably adding a little bit more modeling grass if you can find some empty spots, and maybe adding some more ground crew services. But overall, I think your airport is super realistic and has a decent chance at making the grand finale. Anyway, let's move on to the second to last airport in episode number 2. Second to last airport I'll be reviewing in episode 2 is Aéroport Maple Bear International Airport, located in Montreal, Canada. Now, this airport has a lot to it, but I also think there's a decent amount of things that could be improvised to make it look much better. But firstly, I really like how he's added a JetBlue hangar here, which has a great sense of detail to the airport and adds a really cool attachment and touch. Over here, we get a shot of the taxi lines, and they look good, but I would recommend making them maybe a little bit bigger, as it seems that they're faded. Over here, we get a shot of an American 777 with some air stairs on it, which seems to be 3D printed and looks super detailed. Although I don't see a lot on the rest of your airport, so if you can add a lot more, it would look really good. Same goes for this shot of this Virgin Atlantic aircraft. Overall, your airport looks pretty good. My only tips for you is maybe being a little bit more neater with drawing your taxi line, maybe adding some modeling grass, and definitely add some more ground crew services. But overall, your airport still looks good in my opinion. The final airport I'll be reviewing is Prague Zlicin International Airport, located in Prague, Czechia. I hope I pronounced that airport correct. The thing I noticed about this airport is his homemade ATC tower, which looks pretty good. Right here we get a good shot of this aircraft getting fueled up and just getting on the necessities by paper ground crew workers. My only tip for you here is maybe adding some modeling grass and those blank spots. Over these next 2 photos, we can see 2 different aircraft fueling up at different gates, and it seems that he's added Lego jet bridges, which is a very cost-friendly way, and paper ground crew surfaces, which was once again a cost-friendly way. His runway markings look good, and I can see a little bit of modeling grass here, but I would recommend making more spaces on the airport filled with modeling grass. On this photo, we can see that he's added a couple of aircraft on the smaller terminal and the 747, and then right here we get a great view at another remote stand. Overall, your airport looks pretty good, and extending out that modeling grass will make it look so much better. Anyway, this brings us to the end of the episode, where go to the link in the description, comments, or on my post page and vote your top 3 airports in which you think should move on to the grand finale. Voting will be due in 1 week. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys for episode 3.